What's up, Torque people? Welcome to the new Torque Barbell podcast with your host and owner / creator of all things Torque, myself, Dan Petkosik, and over time I will be having other people on the show, trainers, members, friends in the industry, people who have done cool things, people who have started other companies, and just generally anybody that I find interesting or has a story to share. So the idea here and the aim of this podcast is to share stories, inspire, motivate, and educate you guys about all things fitness. That includes business, nutrition, training styles, powerlifting, bodybuilding, just all around, okay? And I want to start with a little bit of Torque history and a bit about myself, where I started as a personal trainer, how I became to be a gym owner, and I guess that starts with the story of my powerlifting. I got into powerlifting when I was 15 years old, and I was fortunate where I learned from one of the best at the time. His name is Joe Peacock. I was always into sports, and when I was 13, I hurt my back playing hockey. Essentially, I broke my back. And I started doing physiotherapy at the hospital a couple times a week for about 8 to 10 months. I was young enough where my parents said, the doctors, I guess, told my parents, you don't necessarily need surgery. Your body's still developing. You can try doing a physiotherapy and see how your body responds and see how it heals. Essentially, it was, again, my lower back. And during the physiotherapy at the hospital, I learned how to do deadlifts. They had me doing box squats. They had me training my back, my erectors, back extensions, hamstrings, glutes, all the things that surround the injury. And basically from there, when I was 15, got into working out with my buddies. I think you had to be 16 to join the local gym down the street beside the high school. And I got a fake ID from one of my sister's friends just so that I could go and sign up with my buddies who are a little bit older. And then when I was in grade 10, I got into the weightlifting class. It was the first year I think they were running the class. And at this point, I'm about, 15 and started to, like I said, get into powerlifting. So once again, Joe Peacock owned a fitness equipment store. I applied at the store for a part-time job, and from there, I started working out with Joe. I started learning the ropes about, squats, bench, deadlift, and I went and did my first competition, I think when I was 16. I think I placed third. I squatted 376. I think I benched somewhere like 250, and maybe a little bit less than that, and I deadlifted 418. I was 165 pounds. And from there, I got bit by they call the iron bug. Started working out more intensely, and my parents set me up in the basement with a power rack and a bench, and I built a deadlift platform for myself. I've got some dumbbells, and, just kept training myself by myself after school. I'd be in the weight room during school for that weightlifting class. And then, like I said, I'd come home and I'd just pound the weights in my basement. And I guess, as things went on, I wasn't always a great student. I really struggled through my school days. When I was in grade 12, or I guess my fifth year, I still had a few credits I needed to graduate. I think I needed 3 credits to graduate because I'd failed a couple classes. So, I was playing football and that, and essentially I dropped out. I told my parents I was going to work at a fitness store. One day I was going to take it over and be the owner of it, and I was just going to keep working. So I dropped out of high school in my 5th year. A couple months after working full-time at the store, my parents said, okay, you got to at least graduate high school. They sent me to a private school, and I graduated from there. It's funny because the way the school was structured, they had things like open laptop final exam. So because of that, I ended up getting some decent marks, the ones that I probably 75s throughout, which was good enough to get into a university. And so I got into phys ed. I went down to Brock University up here in Canada, and did essentially half a year of university. Barely went to any classes. I don't even think I bought textbooks. It just really wasn't for me. I did it because it was one of those things where at the time it's just kind of what you do. You go to school and then you go to university, you get a degree, and then you go on from there. I thought maybe I'd become a strength and conditioning coach for a pro team. Obviously that wasn't my path. So I left, or I guess around February. Now I think we're talking 2008, 2009. In February, I decided I wasn't going to continue and got my personal training certificate. From there, when I came home, I don't think I passed any of the courses. When I came home, I kept working out myself, writing fitness programs, helping some people, parents, friends, and things like that. My mom, my dad. I'm like, 18, 19 at this point. And then I decided to go to Westside Barbell. And I did not to Westside Barbell. I went to a sports performance facility called Superior Athletics, which was owned by Travis Bell, who was a Westside athlete. He was one of their top benchers, bench-only guy. So I went to him to learn the ropes of sports training, athletes, and all that. And, he really taught me a lot about... He taught me things that I still use today. Session tracking, some of the business things that we do here. A lot of people laugh because I am old school. I still have all of our staff doing paper tracking sheets and session tracking. We do it all by hand. We're not using any apps. We're not using Mind Body Fitness. We're not using any of those, I guess you would call it, newer age things. I'm a little bit old school. We still write hand receipts. We obviously have Visa terminals, but yeah, we do everything by hand. So anyways, with Travis being a Westside athlete, I was fortunate. So I went down and stayed in a motel for, I can't remember if it was a week or two, and again, learned the sports training from Travis, but he also brought me to Westside Barbell. And that was an experience in its own. I'll talk about that in a different one. But, what I saw there and the things that I experienced, I basically told myself, okay, I got to come home and I got to just start working. This is the industry that I want to be in, and I got to do this. So I was already certified at the time, came home, started coaching. I guess now we're in September, started coaching or assistant coaching, helping out with the high school football team. And the guys saw how strong I was. At this point, I had won the national championships. As a teenager, I competed a whole bunch of times. I was kind of, really pushing the envelope with my training. So therefore, it only made sense. These guys wanted to train with me. And I said, okay, so I set myself up at a gym about 15, 20 minutes away, started paying them rent, $15 a session or $10 a session. And I'd bring the guys there and I'd train them. And, I wasn't charging probably more than $20 to these guys. So I'm making $5 and paying the gym 10 or 15. And I'm getting the experience that I need. So one day, I'm driving back through one of the industrial areas from the gym near my house and near the high school and all that, right in the community. And I see a sign go up for above an automotive garage that says Intrafit. And I'm thinking, okay, that looks like a fitness facility. So I turn around, I go back, and I met a guy. And he had just opened, his name was Mike. He had just opened kind of a CrossFit studio, personal training thing. It was about maybe 1,200, 1,300 square feet. He had some kettlebells, some boxes, some rings. He was just running boot camps and classes and personal training. So, I had all this equipment in my basement, and he had this equipment. So I said to him, if I come back and I have something drafted up, can I start training people here? So I wrote up a kind of a proper proposal about the equipment that I'd bring in, and I suggested that I would pay $700. I would split the rent with him, and then I could just run my business there. It was closer to the athletes on the football team, closer to the community where I grew up, and I had connections. It wasn't far for people. So that's essentially how I got to be, I guess you would call it, co-owner of my first gym, or owner of my first gym. So brought all my equipment over, and then just started working. I would load up my truck, and for the people who didn't want to come to the gym because maybe they were intimidated or whatever, and also some people just like outdoor stuff. So I ran a couple outdoor boot camps for people in the neighborhood. I sent out emails. I put my banner on the side of my truck so people driving past would see. The company name was Powerful Athlete Training because, like I said, I was training athletes, but it extended much further than that. I was now training parents and friends' parents, and it just, again, started to grow, and I would take every opportunity I could. For example, Mike, he had just moved, so getting here at 6 a.m. to do his boot camps were a little tough, so he offered them to me. So I took over his boot camp, which had maybe 10 or 15 people in it. So now I'm in front of 10 or 15 new people and, giving it my all. I was passionate, I was hardworking, I was driven, and I just wanted to make something of myself. So it was a lot of long days, not a lot of pay in the beginning, but I would say at around year 2.5 of doing this, I got an opportunity to be on CBC Hockey Night in Canada, and as a guest speaker for off-season and dryland training. One of the girls at the gym, one of the women at the gym, was working her way through the CBC network as an anchor or as a sports broadcaster, and she offered the opportunity to me, and to be honest, I really had no business being there. I didn't have public speaking experience, and it just was out of my comfort zone. I'd never even really made a PowerPoint presentation before. So I had my mom help me with that. I printed up some sample workouts and things that I'd be talking about, speaking points. I went to the dollar store. I got binders. I got stickers printed up that said Powerful Athlete Training. I put my flyers in there. I put my business card. And I went in a little bit early and put one of these folders with all these information inside on each of the chairs. So when these 100 coaches that I was going to be speaking to, these were all hockey coaches, when they got there, they had their booklet on their chair, open it up, boom, Powerful Athlete Training, sample, dryland workout, warm up before your practice, blah, blah, blah. All these other things that I was going to be talking about. And then, up on the wall, they had my PowerPoint presentation, said Dan Pikosik, sports trainer, owner of Powerful Athlete Training. So I also knew that I needed some help on this. So I brought in 2 of my clients, and I got us jackets that were all printed with the Powerful Athlete logos, make us look like a team. And when we got there, they were up front with me. It looked really legit. Okay. I think like your appearance is everything, and how you promote yourself and your business is really important. You want to have a professional, and you want to be taken a professional image and taken seriously. You have to present yourself as professional. So that's what I did. So we did this weekend thing, probably trained a couple hundred kids, spoke to these parents and these coaches. And then from there, I picked up a couple hockey teams, and I started training them as a group. So now I'm charging maybe $15 per kid, and there's maybe 15 to 20 kids on each team. So 15 times 15, I believe, is $225. So $225 an hour I'm making. That's good money. And let's say I'm doing that 3, maybe 5 sessions a week. So now as things are growing, I'm getting more parents, more kids. I'm getting my name out there more. I'm getting more clients. At the peak of it, when things were really slamming, I was doing about 20 grand a month. That's when things really hit. And again, I was about 2.5, 3 years in. So at that point, myself and we had about 4 or 5 trainers working and renting the space from us now. And altogether, we probably had 100, 120 clients between all of us. So we had kind of outgrown the space that we were in. It was pretty crowded. And then myself and, like I said, that guy Mike, we decided that we were going to look for a space, and we were going to open a full-blown gym. At the time of the old gym, we were only on appointment only, so it wasn't. We were sort of transitioning into giving people keys. They could come and go when they want, but it didn't really work out that well. So we were going to open a new gym, have it fully staffed, and essentially have a full-blown gym. All right, so we started looking around for the space, and we found a space. It was 2 units, combined for about 7,000 square feet with about 1,000 square feet outdoor space. It was not ideal because we had to knock down the wall, and there was a lot of build outs to be done, but we made it work. And I guess I should say I made it work, because essentially we took possession of the space on May 1st and we opened on June 3rd. The one key thing about the space was it had 3 garage doors at the back, so open air, which was the style that we wanted, free parking, and it was about 5 minutes from our old location. Right in a heavily densely populated community, and a lot of athletes, and again, right where I grew up, so tons of connections and networking opportunities. So like I said, May 1st took possession of got the keys for the new unit, and I would kind of juggle between training a few people a day, but mainly all my time was spent at the new place, building and kind of getting the place set up. We didn't have the luxury of having investors and a couple $100,000 for new equipment and that, so it was sort of a time crunch, and I literally spent probably every single day. I don't think I really took any days off in that month, getting this place set up and building it the way that we want. We had to paint the walls, we had to put down floor, we had to scrape up old tiles, we had to cut the floor and do the plumbing, build the offices, do the electrical work, framing, drywall, install doors, put up mirrors, set up our front reception area, literally everything. So again, just a month later, the gym, Torque Barbell, as you guys know it now, as I said, I opened with a partner. About a year and a half into that partnership, we were not really on the same page about the growth of the business and where we wanted it to go. I had kind of big dreams of having this huge membership and tons of trainers and a lot going on. He had a different vision of being more independent and kind of a smaller team and more boutique type thing. So, nothing wrong with that. Again, just different visions of the business. So I made an offer to him and I bought him out. And so from a year and a half in, it's just been myself. When we opened the gym, as I had said, leading into the new space, there were months where I was making a lot of money. So I had a lot of money banked. He had a lot of money banked. So when we did our first initial equipment purchase, we paid all cash. I want to say it was like 50 grand. We went and we picked out, it was all used equipment. We didn't buy fancy new stuff. We were broke when we opened. We spent all of our savings to open this gym, and so when I bought him out, I had to take into account what he had put in to buy the equipment and everything. So essentially, I bought the whole business, the membership, and all the equipment, the name, all of it. As he went on and he went to do his own thing, obviously he had his clients and they went with him to a new space that he opened about 2 years later. Took him about 6 months to a year to find his new space. And that's fine. It was obviously really tough because initially the gym didn't have the 600 members it has now, so money was really tight. There was months where I'm putting in $4,000 or $5,000 a month just to keep the lights on, and I'm not getting paid because I'm investing in the business. So I think I'm gonna kind of leave it there and leave the next episode to where Torque was right now, where I just told you, first year or two, and then how it grew over the next 8 or 9 years to where we are now, 10 years later. And we're able to be looking into the future, and we have a team of 15 or 16 staff now and 600 members. We do 550 sessions a month. We do tons of boot camps and independent trainers and events and barbecues, and things have really grown. So I'm going to leave it there. I want to know what you think about kind of what the idea here is and what I'm doing with this podcast show. And I'd love to hear your feedback. I'm hoping to motivate and inspire you and show you that I had no formal business experience. I didn't know anything about running a gym or all the things involved behind the scenes that I do now. It was just a passion. It was a lot of hard work, and it was some ignorance. I heard a good quote recently that said, "I started my business with passion, ignorance, and hard work." And the ignorance part being, I didn't know how hard it was going to be. I didn't know what was involved with doing it. And to be honest, all I knew was hard work, and that's what was instilled in me. And that's what I did. Just put my head down and made it work. So, anyways, let me know what you think. Hit me up on social media at Dan Pekosik PL or Torque Barbell. And like I said, this is the Torque Barbell podcast. We're going to be talking all things fitness, training, nutrition, powerlifting, bodybuilding, gym business, all things. All right. And that's it. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time.